This is the Lesson 4 in Technology Awareness, Principles of Technology. We have two topics for this lesson, the theories of technology and the S-curve in product design. Topic 1, theories of technology. So we're going to learn the principles behind technology changes. Technology theory is an idea that has broad implications for technology and its impact on society and culture. These are often patterns, trends, methods, and first principles that can be used to understand technology from a high level. In the succeeding slides, I'm going to present to you some select patterns, trends, methods, or principles. Okay, there are actually 28 of this from the source simplicable.com, but I have only chosen a few. And the first one is accelerating change. This is the theory that technology changes at an exponential or hyperbolic rate. Here we have the comparison of the exponential growth or decline and the hyperbolic growth or decline. So for the exponential growth, we have here a total world carbon emission, the graph, from 1600s to 1800s, mid of 1800s. There's no carbon emissions. If you recall from the history of technology, the automobile was invented sometime here in 18th century. Okay, and with the emergence of automobile and steam engines, so carbon emission took place. Okay, and at present it is increasing. Now, notice that for the exponential growth, at the onset or the start, there is a slight increase, when in terms of a million of metric tons. So the carbon emission has a slight increase as compared from the mid of 19th century to year 2000. It's increasing fast. Okay. This is an example of an exponential growth. For an exponential decline, the graph would just be a reverse. It might start from a high level downwards. Other examples for exponential growth are the bacteria, the multiplication of bacteria, the increase or decrease in economies, and environmental pollutants, just like our example, the carbon emission. For the hyperbolic growth, okay, so as you could see from the graph, so it's either a growth, okay, so or a decline. Notice that in this case, as we know, the hyperbolic graph is asymptotic to a certain line, which means it's an infinite. It's infinite. It has an infinity value, so it will increase significantly, to a very large value. Okay, so the change could be hyperbolic. Okay, and for the exponential, the change is still a function of time, meaning we could not consider it as infinite. Okay. Now, for example of the technology, with hyperbolic growth is the company debt or utang, no, ng isang company. If the debt is at 3%, so pwede pang kumita ang company, no? Meron pa rin siyang marginal profit. If the debt of the company is at the rate of 4%, then maaring it's already struggling, no, financially. And if the rate, no, of the company of its debt is at 5%, so there is a tendency, not a tendency, it will dramatically fail already. Okay, so that's for hyperbolic growth. So here are the problems that arises in accelerating change. No? The technological change results in dramatically power shifts, rapidly evolving risk, and increasing destructive powers such as weapons. So whether it's exponential or hyperbolic, there is a increase, no, in rapid, no, change. Okay, and it's very risky. It also leads to a great number of choices for how technology should be used, no, to change society, culture, and the planet. Okay, with this with this theory of accelerating change, there are many choices, no, that may arise within the technology, and those choices significantly changes, no, the society. And another problem that may arise is the primary, or rather, because of these two problems, accelerating change, the theory of accelerating change is considered as the driver of human conflict. For managing risk brought by accelerating change, it is how to use and govern new technological powers, no, is a challenge for governments, institutions, and communities. Even in our school, where we conduct online classes, actually napilitan tayo nga, no, to adopt in the online classes. Okay, and risk arises in terms of conducting online class, conducting exams, even in other school services, no, like requests of students, no, for converting it from the face-to-face transaction to online transaction. So there are lots of issues that arises, no, and risk occurs. No? Okay, so at first implemented by technologists, at first that the technology is implemented, no, by technologists without consideration to its economic, social, or cultural impact or risk. Okay, when a technology first implemented, okay, there's no consideration, no, to the economic, social, and cultural impacts. Eventually, society reacts and tries to shape it to improve quality of life and manage risk. So, even in our online classes, there are so many risks that have arises. I believe you could relate to that. And as we experiences this risk, the society reacts. Now, the students, now the faculty, the management reacts to this, and we are trying to create policies na wala pa noon. We change these policies, we continuously improve until we attain, no, the quality of education and manage the risk that it has caused. Next in the principle, no, or trends, okay, is the backward invention. In some textbooks, they call this reverse engineering. No? This is the process of removing or simplifying features, the introduction of products, no, at a cheaper price. Okay, and the target customers are those who prefer low-tech options. Okay, so there are technologies that when they was first implemented to the market, they have high features and they sell expensively, no? If you remember, or if you have experienced the cell phone, the Nokia brand, no? They have this very expensive units. Ang features nito noon ay malayong-malayo, no, sa smartphone na meron tayo ngayon. Hindi yun smartphone, pero may mga units silang nagkakahalaga ng around 30,000 pesos. Hindi pa smartphone yun. Okay? At ang features nun is hindi na rin naman ganun kaano. So many other company created cell phone, manufactured, no, cell phone with a more basic feature than the Nokia, no, na lumabas noon. Okay? And sell it in a more affordable price. Okay? Now, in our example in this slide, we have a car manufacturer, no? They may strip out all the nice-to-have features and use cheaper parts, such as, for example, the seats, no, of the car. Okay? They replace it with the more affordable materials in order to achieve a price point that works in developing country. Next in the principle or trends is the emergence. When structured big things evolve from little things without coordination or organization, that is what we call emergence. Avoiding attempts to centrally control things that can emerge with more eloquence. So, in this principle, the technology that has emerges or evolved came from the small individual parts. Now, they might not be organized. No, these small things or small technologies were not intended to be grouped together to create this bigger structure of the technology. Okay. So here are some examples of a system that were evolved through emergence. Say, for example, the ecosystem. No? There is an independent interaction of various species, no? Geographical features, and weather system, no? Within the ecosystem. And as a whole, they create this ecosystem. Cities, no? Cities emerge without planning from independent actions of landowners, neighborhoods, and citizens, no? Hindi naman nag-usap-usap, no, yung community na, hey, let's create a city, no? Hey, let's live together. Okay? And let's hindi naman kung nagkaroon ng mga supermarkets, nagkaroon ng mga malls, nagkaroon ng mga institutions, schools, ang isang community, hindi naman nila ito plinano at a start, no? Kumbaga, individual, no? Entity lang ang mga decisions, but as a whole, they became a city. Okay? Internet. It is a decentralized process of connecting one computer to another, no? Forming networks and then connecting networks together. Okay? So it's a decentralized process. It's not the other way around that nung nagkaroon tayo ng internet, hindi naman siya yung may mother structure na dinistribute sa bawat individual. Hindi, di ba? So, may mga nabuo na mga may local area networks, okay? May home network within the home, merong building network, no, within one building, okay? And then they interconnect with each other. And then artificial intelligence, no? Complex machines may interact to form emergent structures, no? So self-learning machines could form societies, cultures, civilizations, and other complexities. No, I think you're familiar, with smart home, wherein most of the appliances are automatically controlled and could be controlled remotely. No, for example, no, may advertisement akong napapanood, no, in YouTube na walang tao, no, sa isang condominium. And then, nag-uusap-usap, no, yung kanyang microwave oven, yung kanyang TV, yung kanyang, iba pang mga electronic devices sa bahay, nag-uusap-usap, no, because of artificial intelligence. When this individual equipment, no, or home appliances were created, individual naman sila, no? Hindi naman sila create intended for one big structure. Na-create na lamang yung buong smart home, no, intelligence na system or setup. Okay? So, it's an example of emergence. For feature fatigue, the customers tire of feature-rich products and services. So, customers associate feature-rich products with low quality, instability, and difficult-to-use interfaces. A shift in consumer taste towards products and services that offer a minimal feature set. Okay? Now, actually, in my case, no, they say iPhones are very popular, okay? But in my case, I don't really prefer it. I'm somewhat intimidated kung ano man yung mga features na ginagawa niya, no? Na offer ng iPhone. And naisip ko, hindi ko naman masusulit yung presyong niya na napakamahal dahil hindi ko naman magagamit yun, no? And might be na, for example, yung sa Android phone naman, ang unang lumabas sa mga Android phone may naka-default, no, na mga installed programs na hindi mo naman matatanggal that consumes your memory. Bumabagal yung iyong cellphone kapag ikaw ay i-install ng bagong applications, hindi mo naman ma-delete yung default applications, no? So, yun, no, feature fatigue, no, parang ayaw mo na, no, ng ganung unit, ng ganung model because of those. So, in terms of quality, okay, there are too many features, no, rushed to the market, no? Thus, consumers associated long list with poor design, bugs, and instability. For the usability, if you don't use a feature, just what I've said already about the iPhone, it tends to get in the way in a user interface. So in some cases, features do not do something, no, by default. Okay, and consumers struggle to find a way to turn it off. And for purchase decisions, customers may be unfamiliar with cutting-edge features. Yes, I'm not familiar, no? And tend to shy away from things they don't understand when making purchase decisions. Ganun talaga sa akin. And privacy, security, and stability. Next is the fourth industrial revolution, no? An economic revolution fueled by physical manifestations of computing, such as robotics and pervasive computing. The fourth industrial revolution caused dramatic shifts, no, in the economy, the quality of life, and culture. So, automating most jobs that currently exist, including professions such as software development, that may shift towards machine learning. Okay, and thus, well, in this fourth industrial revolution, I believe you have heard of this, and I hope you are familiar with this. No, so the trend in manufacturing, not just in manufacturing, but let me cite an example in the manufacturing that systems or manufacturing machines, no equipments, no technologies uh, uses computers, no systems, remote controlling. Okay, so hindi na uso no masyado yung mga technicians. Okay, marireplace na sila ng mga uh, machine learnings, no, mga artificial intelligence. Okay, as comparison, let's the third industrial revolution. This is known as the digital revolution, no? The development of knowledge, economy, and automation. Third industrial revolution is driven by the exponential growth of computing power, no? And computing underwent a dramatic shift beginning in 1994 with commercialization of the internet. Okay, as we all know, no, we are very much familiar how our life has shifted when we used computers, no, sa bahay natin, sa pag-aaral natin, no, you are doing your project development sa ngayon, and I do believe that most of your researches was done through the internet, okay, using computers, no. Way back when I was a student, we don't have internet that time. Yes, we do have computer, but when we need to do a research, we really have to go to a library, and libraries inside our schools and universities are not that complete. So, kailangan mo pang pumunta, no, sa iba pang mga libraries, no, regional or national libraries. Okay? So, the high-speed network resulted in explosive growth in knowledge economy and shifts from physical things such as shopping malls to digital things such as e-commerce. As we are all familiar, and alam ko, no, lahat naman yata tayo is nakaranas ng bumili, no, sa mga Lazada, mga Shopee that time in before year 2000, wala pang mga Lazada at Shopee noon. I think Amazons, no, ano pa ba yung mga online shops noon, no? Okay? That was during the third industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution is driven by electric power, the telephone, and automobiles. So, factories organized as assembly lines and mass production began during the second industrial revolution. So, when I was in third year college na I undergone SIT, no, or on-the-job training, okay? So, that time, no, talagang ang mga companies is mass production. And yes, telephones, landline telephones pa nun, no? Okay. So for the first industrial revolution, this is the shift of the economy, no, towards machines, particularly steam-powered machines. Okay. Next is the Moore's Law. Now, the prediction that the speed of computer processors doubles every 18 months. So, the prediction that the number of transistors on commercially available processors doubles every 2 years. So, this predictions is what we call Moore's Law, and other predictions as well similar to this. The space shuttle example, no? The first space shuttle launched in 1981 featured computers capable of 480,000 instructions per second. Okay? So that's is that high speed enough? Okay? As compared in earlier times, mabilis na yan, no? But lately, just like this one, the space shuttle at Atlantis, the last shuttle launched in 2011, only had a small percentage of the computing power of a laptop, no, at the time. So, almost a small percentage, no, lower, no, ng small percentage ng computing power ng isang laptop ang kaya ng space shuttle na Atlantis. No? Laptop is very powerful computer already, no? Powerful computing device. So, I don't know if you're familiar, if you could relate kung gaano kalaki ang difference nitong 2011 space shuttle with the 1981 space shuttle, but that is a very big difference already, especially when nowadays we're talking about in terms of speed, megabytes, no? And in terms of capacity, we're talking about gigabytes, no? May terabytes na rin, di ba? So ito 480,000 lang yan. So talagang mas malaki na. So, I just picked the first three and the last three of the table, no, of the evolution, no, of computers. Okay, so in 1961, we have IBM supercomputer, and it has 1.2 million operations per second. And now the Fugaku supercomputer in 2021. What is this? 1, 2, 3. Tera. This is, I think, 442 tera. Am I correct? No, this is the 6 is million. The 9 is giga. And then this is tera. Hopefully I'm correct. So the next principle is the precautionary principle, no? A legal and ethical guideline that requires new products, technologies, materials, and byproducts to be generally accepted as safe before being released to the public or introduced into the environment. So ngayon, di ba, we are facing COVID-19 na sakit. And people are having their vaccines. So, sometime in March, na hindi pa ito masyado laganap or hindi pa masyado na nagsisimula pa lang, malaking issue na pinag-uusapan kung ito ba ay safe na yung vaccine or hindi. Okay? So, one principle, no, of technological change is this precautionary principle. Personally, I used to think that a vaccine will be created years, no? Wala pang 1 year, naka-create na sila. Di ba? So, in the past, it was often required to show beyond a doubt that a product is harmful to pull it from the market. Okay? The precautionary principle is the opposite approach that states a product should be generally accepted as safe before being launched. on the market. Now, let us now proceed to sum of parts. This is a theory that a system is more different from the collective attributes of its parts. Okay? So, if you recall earlier, we have the other theory. It was the emergence, right? Wherein different small parts are the emergence, no? There is one system where their individual parts are not interconnected at the start, just like the cities, just like the internet. Now, this one is not the opposite, but shall we say parallel, no, or congruent, no, to that principle. Okay, because it says here that the system as a whole is different, no, different from its collective attributes. Well, magkaiba naman ang principle ng emergence sa principle ng sum of parts. But the idea that in the emergence is the individual parts existed without the intention of coming up together. While here in sum of parts, you have the whole system, you have the individual system, and the attributes of the individual parts, no, is not necessarily will be the attributes of the whole system. Okay. So, in some examples, no, Aristotle and Euclid, no. According to Aristotle, sum of parts originates, no, with Aristotle's metaphysics, which states the whole is something besides the parts. No? Yung one whole system, that is something besides from, no, other than, no, from its parts. In the Euclid's Elements, it states the whole is greater than the part. So, meaning greater, hindi pa rin sila pareho, no? Or magkaiba pa rin talagang kanilang attributes. For when we say materialism, it is the belief that everything is physical, such that intangible things, such as the human experience, have a physical basis. Okay? So, the physical things, no, that we have, we call that materialism, no? And this materialism contributes, no, to the sum of parts, where we are experiencing, using, living with. Okay? Intangible things, okay, there's no physical form. They are ideas, emotions, knowledge, etc. Okay? And still, this contributes, no, as, and could be considered, no, as a member, no, of the sum of parts. When we say holism is an approach, no, to design and problem solving that looks at things as a whole. Okay? When you analyze a certain system, there might be two approaches, no? So one is you're going to analyze each part, and the other is you're going to analyze the holistic performance of the system. Okay, so that is holism. Even then, in holism, we still understand, we still know that there are individual parts in there that sum up to make the whole. Analysis is the process of breaking things into their component parts to design things and solve problems. Okay? So, yun, no, yung the opposite, no, of the holism. This time naman, you are looking into the individual components for you to be able to understand the whole process of the system. Okay? And then the system theory. So sum of parts is the fundamental idea, systems theory, and systems thinking. That you need a different way of thinking to understand systems because they can't be fully understood by analysis of parts. So, you students, no, you have studied feedback and control system wherein you have understood, no, from that course that one complete plant, no, say power generating plant, no, it's a whole system, okay, and it has subsystems, no. When you think of a, say, personal computer, it's a one whole device, okay, yet we know that there are subsystems, no, within a computer, no? Or shall we say personal computers, okay. So that's some theory, no, is the idea, no, that we understand that this plants, no, manufacturing plant, generating plant, or this electronic device such as personal computer are composed of systems and has subsystems. But aside from it, we also do understand that there are things that might happen, there are things that we might consider in analyzing its operation na meron pang ibang mga factors aside from its physical, no, the way we analyze, with the way you understood the discussion doon sa feedback control. There are other principles behind na kailangan nating alamin, kailangan malaman. Now, these principles are, say for example, yung shall we say a computer, no, desktop computer, no, or personal computer, you might understand na it needs a operating system, no, kailangan niyang may Windows, kailangan niyang may Microsoft Office na applications. Kung gusto mong gumawa ng desktop computing, kailangan mo dito mag-install ng MATLAB, okay. Kung kailangan mo ng MATLAB tool, no, alam mo na meron itong speakers, microphones, keyboards, hard drive, microprocessor, and so on. But there might other factor na hindi mo pa na alam, no, for you to be able to analyze everything about it, no. So yun yung sinasabi ng system theory. Okay? And in your project development, no, sometimes yun yung mga tinatanong ng panel, no, questions for you to tinker about that you might not have able to analyze yet when you designed your projects. Okay? So, I hope that's clear. No? So, the questions of the panel, sometimes, it's not really to question you, not to question your design, but to give you more idea, to expound your thinking. Kasi baka meron pa kayong hindi naisip within your project. Okay? Next is the technological determination, no? The theory that technology dictates the direction of society and culture. It is based on the historical observation that the new technologies are released without much thought to their impact. No, nabanggit na rin ito kanina, no, sa precautionary, di ba? Precautionary na principle kanina. So, yun nga, as observed in the past, that there are technologies, no, are being implemented, no, without considering, no, if there are positive or if there are negative impact. So such technology may transform societies and cultures in significant ways. Whether positive or negative, no, they might really change the society and the culture. The revolutionary, no, the industrial revolution that we have mentioned before, okay, it really changes, no, the society and the culture, no, as I hope you understand why, no, you could relate why, no, that's why it's called the industrial revolution. Okay, it is also based on the observation that governments, societies, and cultures are slow to try to shape technology or manage risk. The technological determination, meaning to say, it says that a certain technology could change rapidly or slowly, or it could be stagnant. It depends, no, on the society. It depends on the culture, no, how the society and the culture shape the technology, how they manage the risk. Kasi for example, no, if there is an environmental risk caused by a certain technology, and if the society able to manage the risk of the environmental impact, negative impact, kung mabilis nila itong nasolusyonan at na-overcome, then mabilis din nilang maa-adapt yung technology na to despite na nagkaroon ng negative impact. Kasi nga, mabilis nilang nasolusyonan. And then, this society could move on to another evolution of this technology. Okay? But if the negative impact of a certain technology was not managed, no, hindi nila na solusyonan, talagang nahirapan. Okay, so maaring i-discontinue ng society, no, ang paggamit ng ganitong technology. Okay, so technological determination, the principle, no, of one of the principle of technological change. Okay, and so technology winter is the period of stagnation in the process of a technology. So meaning stagnation, no? the development, the improvement in the technology has somewhat stopped, or not necessarily total stop, no, but there's a very minimal improvement even in its sales, maybe. So technological progress and investment in a field such as artificial intelligence appear to follow a boom and bust cycle known as springs and winters. Springs are periods of extreme excitement, progress, and investment. Winters are periods of disillusionment, disappointment, and stagnation. Okay? So, the artificial intelligence has undergone the following cycle. No? Sometime in 1956 to 1974, it has a spring. Okay. Okay. So there was much investment to develop the technology. No. There are lots of improvements. The industry has gained much sales, shall we say? Okay. And then the winter time, no, there's stagnation, no, there's no improvements, maring no applications. Okay. That was in 1974 to 1980. Okay. And then the technology again picked up in 1980 to 1987. So once more, the technology, artificial intelligence was utilized. Okay. And once more, in 1987 to 1993, parang natulog ulit, no? Ang artificial intelligence. Parang hindi masyadong nagamit muli. And in 1993 up to the present, okay, it's booming na naman, no, yung artificial intelligence, especially nowadays, no, just last year or a few years before pa, no, talagang puro artificial intelligence na lang ang aking naririnig. So through innovation of the technologies such as revolutionary new approaches can prolong the period of spring. So, yun nga, no? If there is true innovation in the technology, okay, if the innovation is very revolutionary, the period of spring, no, mas prolonged, okay? Nandun sa year na talagang abundant. Okay? Technological setbacks can trigger a winter. So, yun nga, pag may setback naman sa technology, ibig sabihin may mga negative impact, no? Maraming risk, okay? So, it might cause, no? That the technology will stagnate.